Welcome to the Wyndham College English and History faculty instructional video on how to use Google G Suite products, and this will include tutorials on how to use Google Drive and Google Classroom, as well as how to submit assignments online. Okay, my first recommendation is if you're going to use any browser for the Google Classroom and the G Suite, you'll keep all your functionality if you use the Google Chrome browser. So that would be my first recommendation. That's the best place to start. Okay, now that we're using Chrome, just search for the DET student portal. It doesn't really matter how you find it. It's just once you get to that page, makes things a little bit easy. I'm lucky enough to have a student who has agreed to let me just use their account to show you what the student login looks like. This might be a bit different. If you're a teacher watching this, you may not be aware of what the student portal looks like, but as it's logging in, we'll just have a quick look. Taking its time a little bit. And here we go. Well, if it's a public computer, you obviously shouldn't be saving that. But if it's a personal device, you make your own choice. Agree to the disclaimer. And your G Suite, you've got a lot of other tools in here. If you've never logged into your student portal, if you haven't logged in recently, or if you've never noticed, your G Suite button's there. Bearing in mind, if you log in to the browser up here, I don't want to complicate things too much, but if you sign into Chrome on your own personal device, you can obviously skip a lot of these steps and go there straight away. Anyway, let's go back to the G Suite. So now that we're looking at the G Suite, we won't be looking at all these tools, but if you haven't already seen it, you've got the Google Drive, which will give you access to making and storing documents like Word documents, spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, or what are known as slides. You've also got Google Forms too. I won't get into that, but you can use that for doing surveys and a bit of data grid if you're doing a research project and you need to run a survey. But what we're going to be looking at, and I'll just scroll down here, you've got all these other tools that may or may not be useful to you, but one thing we're going to talk about is using Google Classroom. Now, what you'll notice is because I've logged in under the student account, it's apparent there, and I'll just quickly show you that you've got this little grid or menu where you can straight go to your Drive and see what files you've got stored. You can find out your Word documents and you can start accessing these tools there. That's a nice handy button. What I'll get people to do is, if you can start joining the classroom, if you're interested to know, the English and History faculty have a fantastic classroom with known as the Assessment Hub. LLGGHES is the access code, and if you join it, you'll be well supported with soft copies of most, if not all, assessment tasks for all English and History courses for years 11 and 12, and one we'll be focusing on will be on Year 11's Task 2, obviously the standard one, but it's very similar to the advanced one and the English Studies one as well. Okay, now that we're in the Assessment Hub, you realise we can get a soft copy of the assessment task. That can be very, very helpful for students who may want to just simply copy bodies of texts and paste them into folders so they can look in the same document to see that they're addressing the question, or that if the assessment task gives them any suggested ideas, that they can use them in their own work, as opposed to manually copying it out from the document, which makes things a bit more efficient. Now, when it comes to submission via Google Classroom, that's a little bit different. Rather than dumping things into a big file, you'll actually get what's known as a Google, it'll be registered as an assignment, and I'll get into that in a sec. Now, for the sake of demonstrating this Google assignment, because we've already got hundreds of students already registered to this Google Classroom, I'm not going to open up an assignment on here. First of all, I'm logged in as a student, so I can't actually do that, but the reason I'm not going to create an assignment and open up that assessment window just yet is, at the time of making this video, it's still very early in week 5, so I don't want to open up that just yet and send notifications to hundreds of students' phones prompting them to start submitting their assignments yet. There's still plenty of time to work on them. So what I've done is I've created a test classroom. So this classroom that I'm taking us to now, I'm just going to use a new Google Classroom code. This classroom only exists for the purpose of this demonstration. So as we log in, there'll be a test classroom. So it's test classroom only. We've just been pushed into it straight away. The only student who's in it is this student's account that I'm using right now. And what's happened here is I've just put up a test assignment. So please don't spread a rumor out that there's an assessment task due on the 7th of September or there's a new task. It's just a test, just to show you how this function works. If you open the assignment, so you notice the status test is unsubmitted, it gives you the assignment to open. If you click on that, you get all the instructions. As you can see, I've kept the instructions very, very simple for the purpose of this task. There'll be a transcript and a media file, and that's actually the same for English as well. For my understanding is English Standard, definitely, and I believe English Studies and Advanced English will have a transcript and a media file required, so they're best done as two separate documents, and you can submit two separate, not documents, but two separate files. You can submit them separately. Now, what you can do is if you hit add, you can end up linking files. Okay, so maybe I've already made my film and I can submit a file. If it's on YouTube, perhaps, I don't know why, you may want to put it in as a web link or link it from the internet if you put it online, or you can take it in from your Google Drive. It doesn't really matter where you import it from, but they're your options. And if you hit the create button, it doesn't give you the film option, but if you want to draw something or do it as an Excel or slides, that sheets may not matter. You might want to do your media file, might just be in the form of visuals, and you might put voice recordings in there, but you'll obviously need your transcript. So what you do is if you make a Google Doc, if you hit, rather than importing the file in separately, which is another option, it creates a document, and my understanding is it'll actually put your Department of Education name in full there, and the name of the assignment is put in there as well. So you don't even have to name the file, which means teachers can find it with great ease. I strongly advise that if you're not going to use the audio function, that you put your full name on the file name as well. And if we open that up, we notice that test assignment, we can just put in, sort of any information. Come to think of it, if I was preparing, I would be putting in my basic scaffold, my organization of ideas, so you can chip away at it and build it over time and say, oh, I want to be talking about weapons of mass surveillance or whatever the featured text is in class, and my related text I have, I want to put in other ideas. I'm just playing around with it there. But what you can do is you can hit the turn it in button straight away. Now, if you read the assignment specifications clearly, nothing will be marked until the final submission date, which is in week 9. So you can hit turn it in from there, or because things automatically save if you're connected to, if you're online, it says all changes saved in documents. So there is no save button if you've never used Google Drive or Google Docs before, which is great because as long as you're connected to the internet, and if you're not connected to the internet, a small lightning bolt will turn up here as if to sort of suggest that there's no connection. But if you ever see all changes saved to Drive, that means whatever's on screen has already been saved. So I can just close that, and it's already been saved there. So you can't worry about files going missing or something being lost, or did you get that email? You've got proof that you've submitted it, and it's there for it's there for you and your teachers to see. No other students have access to this, of course. Now, if it hasn't been, we didn't go to the submit button, there's rather you can just hand it in. We'll double check. One attachment will be submitted. If you think there's two, it's obviously asking you to, before you hit hand in, yes, I only want one attachment in, hand it in, and teachers will have access to that. So yeah, and then it says there at the bottom your assignment has been handed in. Now, don't worry too much about this, but I'm just going to, because I'm using a Mac and I've got Photo Booth ready to go, I've got myself here. It's a little bit of a meta moment. I'm just going to make a quick film of myself and just show you how you would go about. Hello, this is a test. Media file something weapons of mass surveillance. Stop that video. Okay, I'm not going to put any effects on it. I just want to show you how to use this file. Okay, and in the next, I'm just going to quickly retrieve it and show you how you can submit it. Okay, I just want to show you the ability of, once you've handed in your assignment, again, you're going to have that assignment window, so teachers will not start opening these files and marking them until the deadline on the assignment changes. Now for this one I put down 7th of September midnight, which would mean in this test classroom situation, only on the 7th of September would that unsubmit button disappear. On the, once that due date has passed, that unsubmit button disappears and teachers will start opening up these files and start marking. Now, up until then you can unsubmit. Okay, and you'll have access, there's the file up there, but you'll have access to that file again. I'll just close, it's the same file there, just open it up twice, just close that, close that. Yeah, so you've got access to all these other pieces of information. You might want to change that and be a bit more specific. You might want to change the phrasing of something. Okay, and you can just hit that turn it in button again. Okay, it opens up a new tab, don't worry about that. You've got the same thing open. Yep, you want to hand it in and you've submitted it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unsubmit it one more time just to show you how to attach, because if you notice when you hit the submit button, that those two add and create buttons have just disappeared. But if you hit unsubmit, which you can do as many times as you like, those buttons reappear, and then we can start talking about how we want to add videos. Now, what I've just done here, just quickly while putting this video together, is rather than opening up the student's Google Drive account main page, I'll just very quickly show you that I've put in the student's Google Drive, I've actually put a media file in there, so it might take a little bit of time to find. It's under, that's just the way it transferred over. But I'm just going to show you how you can add that video in there so you can be confident as a second file. You can even see the preview image there, so you know that it's the right file. It's Dimitri with his baseball cap. When you hit hand in, okay, you can just do it with the confidence of knowing that what you've submitted and what the teacher is exactly what you think you've submitted. So you still have access to it. I would strongly recommend opening up files and double checking. Okay, you've noticed that you've got a view only version of the document. You can't actually edit it. So rather than requesting the teacher's permission to access it, what you should do is, don't worry about that, just again close these tabs where the assignment is, unsubmit it, and that'll give you editing power over those files again. Okay, so if you notice that I haven't handed it in, now that I don't have to, it's not a view only file, that blue button's gone, I can do whatever I want. I can edit the file as much as I want. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What I would recommend you do is that when your teacher does give you time in class, that you play around with the software to make sure that there are no problems. Of course, you can do the traditional methods of having things on USB. That's fine. You can also print out your PowerPoints and do it all in hard copy. But with all these new tools available to you, yeah, this can make things a lot easier. And I hope that of the 350 people now that are on that Google Assessment Hub, that they can use that information to make their lives easier.